did the dual zero control video a little while back, somebody else suggested doing a patch with 2 zero coasts. And once again, thinking back, I was surprised to realize I'd never actually tried this. And something else I've never really done is sequence zero coast with René, let alone 2 of them. So there we go. Let's sequence 2 zero coasts with a René, because why not? Okay, what are we looking at here? Let's build it back up from scratch. I used MIDI CC programming to set the bottom zero coast tempo input division to divide by 2. This means it'll only output a pulse for every other clock at its tempo input. This is a fun and easy way to get related clocks for the 2 synths, and more importantly from the 2 synths, because René is the only module here in this pod, and as it is a module, it doesn't generate its own clocks. Let's mult the clock from the top zero coast to the tempo input of the bottom zero coast, as well as to the Y clock input of René. And then we'll take the bottom zero coast clock output to the X clock. Now, there's no need to keep it simple when you're patching at home, but for sake of being able to consistently tell what's going on in this video, I'm going to keep the bottom zero coast associated with the X channel, while the top is associated with the Y channel. X coast and Y coast. So let's go X gate to gate the contour. And XCV to volt per octave. Make a little sequence. The top zero coast will be on the Y channel, which, recall, is going twice the rate of the X channel. This Y sequence has only 14 steps instead of 16, so it repeats once every 7 steps on the X channel, hopefully creating some subtle phasing between the sequences. From here, we can adjust the timbre controls to taste. To let these 2 sequences complement each other. I'm thinking of the X coast as sort of the baseline, so keeping it to a 1 octave range on the quantize page and letting some overtones through for some growl, while the Y coast is the more melody or embellishment channel, and I've given it the full 4 octave range. In many cases, the balance control is a more subtle timbral control than some of the others. In this particular case, it's an easy way to switch either voice between the rounder, gentler sound of the triangle and the buzzier sound of the overtones. If we generally stick to keeping the 2 zero coasts at opposite ends of their respective balance controls, it may help keep them sitting well together in the sound field. Let's also let the X coast contour circuit modulate the multiply a little bit. Let's go ahead and impaste this state to 3 additional locations. With these 4 different state locations on the z-axis, I can make some variations on this same sequence. For the first variation, let's change the Y channel to just 4 steps. Hopefully this very short sequence length while the X channel plays in full will add some intensity. We can change the X channel too. Let's set the gate mode to trigger. This makes most of the gates shorter, but it also lets us make longer gates by turning on glide on certain steps. Next state, let's make it basically the same as the original, but change the key. We have to change it on the quantized pages of both channels. Let's try something more like a G minor. Let's make the Y sequence 12 steps instead of 14. For the fourth state, I want to stick with this same key, so let's go ahead and impaste the third one onto it to start. Let's go for a short sequence on Y again, but 5 steps this time. And let's try adding some direction modulation as well with a slow gate from the slope end of cycle, and we will turn on direction on Y's fun page. Another thing to think about, let's modulate the Y coast's overtones with the Cartesian channel. This is modulation that's in time with the sequence, but since it's not modulating pitch, there's no need to dial it in exactly. However, we can use the 4 different states to set octave rates differently on the C channel so that the depth of overtone modulation changes per state. If I set it to 1 octave, it's going to be lower depth than if I set it to 4 octaves. to 1 octave on the first state. Since this is the sort of bass state we just want to be a good starting point, let's do it full range on the 2nd and on the 4th, since they're more intense, so to speak. And for the 3rd state, that's mostly a copy of the 1st in a different key. Let's go with, instead of 1 octave, 2 octaves. This might make it just subtly different from the 1st without calling too much attention to it. Again, octaves here is just referring to the total amplitude of this modulation to the overtone. More octaves, more volts, more modulation depth. Alternative I'd like to try is using the same thing, the C channel, to instead modulate the decay time on the Y coast. Actually, why not do both? We'll use the voltage math on the X coast to mult this to both places. Hey, you know what? This was fun. Should we do some more tiny setup combos like this? Let us know in the comments if you have any fun ideas. And stay tuned to the channel for more patches and concepts of all kinds. Thanks for watching, and happy patching.